Hello and welcome to Old Basing Infant School. My name is Tracey McCarley and I'm the head teacher here. We are very much looking forward to welcoming your child and you to our school and our community, and we hope over the next few months that we'll be giving you lots of information to help you and your child to feel like you are ready to start school in September. There have to be some changes because of COVID-19, but we know that we can make your child start to school successful with the plans we have in place. As I said, COVID-19 has had an impact and lots of our transition has had to change as a result, but we're still confident that your child's start to school will be a happy time. We tried out lots of new things in the last year and we found some that worked and some that don't, so we've adjusted our programme to ensure that it is as successful as possible for you and your child. We will use our website a lot to give you lots of information, so please do check out this tab, New to Year R 2021-2022. You'll find it under the Children's tab, and in there we'll be putting lots of information about the school. There'll be video clips, there'll be question and answer sessions, anything that you might need to help you in your preparation for starting school. So do go back and check it regularly. Following this presentation, on Tuesday the 11th of May at 7 p.m, we'll be hosting a Zoom call with myself and Mrs. Sciberras, the head of early years. This is a session when you can come online and ask any questions you might have about your child starting school. We don't mind how big or how small the question is. We know that if there's one parent thinking about a question, there will be other parents who want that question asked too. So please don't be shy, come along, ask your questions and we will answer them for you. The information on this Zoom call is included at the end of this presentation. Old Basing Infant School is a rights respecting school. This means that we put children's rights at the heart of all we do. It guides our ethos and our values, and it underpins our planning, the curriculum and everything the children learn and do in school. We believe children should know their rights and that we as adults are responsible for protecting those rights and making sure that every child has access to them. We also believe that our children should understand that they have a voice and that voice can be heard and make a difference. So right from the very beginning, when they first start school, we'll be encouraging your children to make their voices heard, to share their opinions and their ideas, to make choices and to be fully engaged in everything they do. They'll be asked to contribute ideas to their curriculum, what they want to learn about, how they want to learn, who they want to learn with. They'll be encouraged to set the expectations for their class through their class charter, and they will be expected to consider their behaviour in relation to their rights to learn and every other child's rights within the classroom. We believe as a rights respecting school we have a strong ethos and a really good understanding of children and how they learn, and we find that children engaged in their learning learn better. In the next few days, if you haven't already received it, you will be receiving an information pack. There's an awful lot of information in this pack, so please take your time to look through it carefully and to read everything. There are also a number of forms that do need to be filled in, so please fill them in, and if you can, keep them somewhere safe until you next visit the school, and then just bring them along when you do. All the information you need is in there. There is also information on our school uniform, which the logoed parts you need to buy online, and these can be ordered at any time. I would recommend that you order sooner rather than later, as the summer term can be a very busy time for school uniforms, as I'm sure you appreciate. There are just a few things that you need to buy online, and that is the logoed sweatshirt or jumper or cardigan, the PE bag and the book bag. Any other items of uniform you can buy in any high street store, so please don't feel you have to buy those online. As I say, please keep the forms safe until you come into school. You can post them to us if you wish, but equally you can just hang on to them until you visit. We still remain optimistic that we'll be able to see you all in school in July, so hopefully we'll have your forms from you before too much longer. So what have we got planned for your starting? Well, let's start with the dates and what you can expect in September. In September, we're going to greet you with a Ready to Start meeting. This is a new change, and these will all happen in the week beginning the 6th of September. You and your child will come into school for a one-to-one meeting with your class teacher and your early years assistant. You'll have time to get to know each other, to share information about your child and your family, to to begin to build that really important positive relationship that will support your child as they go through school. Following the Ready to Start meeting in the morning of that week, the same afternoon you'll be invited back into school. On this occasion, only one parent can come with your child, but they can come into school and they will spend the afternoon in school with a small group of 5 or 6 children that have also had their Ready to Start meeting in the morning. So you'll come into school for the afternoon and they'll have time to settle. Following their Ready to Start meeting and their Ready to Start afternoon, all the children will be part-time in the week beginning the 13th of September. They will have a mixture of afternoons and mornings, and during that week they will also have one day where they stay for lunch. All children will have the opportunity to start full-time from Monday the 20th of September. We do know that for some children, starting school full-time is not the right option, so we do still offer the opportunity for children who need it to start on a part-time basis. If you feel your child would benefit from being part-time for longer and for staying part-time after September the 20th, do please talk to either myself or Mrs. Sciberras and we can arrange a meeting to discuss exactly what your child's needs are and how your part-time entry into school might be structured. You can get hold of either of us by calling the school office. At the school, we do offer extended provision. We know we have lots of working families, lots of parents where both work and you need to get to work early and you need to stay at work beyond the school day. So we offer a breakfast club. The breakfast club runs from 7:45 in the morning until 8:35. From the breakfast club, the children are taken directly to their classes and it's a facility that is shared with St Mary's Junior School. So we have a mixture of children from the ages of 4 to 11 and it works really well. Children who attend the junior school are escorted over to the school at the end of the breakfast club session. If you wish to sign up for breakfast club, please call the school office and they will set that in motion for you. In a normal, non-COVID world, we also offer after-school clubs. And at the moment, we're optimistic that from September, we will be able to offer these after-school clubs. They run for about an hour and they can be for all kinds of different things. Historically, we've had things such as football, gymnastics, athletics, French, Spanish, music, a whole range of clubs that run for an hour straight after school. And we hope that come September, we'll be able to offer those to parents once more. Alongside our clubs, we also offer an after-school care club. This is childcare offered on-site and provided by the company SCL. They're available in school from the end of the school day right through until 6 p.m. It's also possible when our clubs run for your child to attend an after-school club and then to go on to the after-school care club afterwards. The after-school care club, like the breakfast club, is available for children at the infants and the junior school. You can go onto the SCL website to find out more about their after-school care club, or again, you can call the office if you wish for any more information. There is information on these things in the information packs that we've recently sent to you. I'd now like to talk about a few things where we really value your support in making sure that things run really well for you and for your child. Free school meals are an entitlement for every child of infant school age. So that means every child in Year R, Year 1 and Year 2 is entitled to a free school meal every day. We offer a vegetarian and a meat option each day, and during the winter months we also offer a jacket potato option and in the summer months a picnic bag option. These meals are very carefully constructed to ensure that they are healthy and balanced and that they use a lot of organic products and certainly a number of locally sourced products. We're able to cater for those children who have allergies too. So even if your child has an allergy to some foods, we can create a menu that ensures that they will not encounter any of the foods they're allergic to. I would encourage all parents to take up the option of the free school meal. It's one less thing for you to worry about each day, there's no lunchbox to create, and your child has one less thing to carry to school. They are, as I say, they are free to everyone, so please do take up the option if you can. If your child is a fussy eater and you look at the menu and think there really isn't anything they'd like to eat today, then on that day send them in with a packed lunch. We don't mind if children chop and change between packed lunches and free school meals, as long as they do enjoy a healthy meal in the middle of every day. The Pupil Premium Grant is an allocation of money that schools get directly from the government to support children who may need extra support because things are challenging for them. Originally, this support was given to children who have free school meals, but all infant-age children now have free school meals, so it's become more challenging to identify those children who are entitled to the Pupil Premium Grant. In the information pack that you were sent, there was information about how you might be entitled to access the Pupil Premium Grant for your child. Please read through this information very carefully and consider whether or not your child falls into the category of the Pupil Premium Grant. If they do, please follow the information in the letter to check that. Or if you have any queries or concerns or need support in order to do that, please call the office and Mrs. Sells and Mrs. Richardson will happily take you through the process to check whether your child is entitled. For every child who is entitled to the Pupil Premium Grant, the school gets an allocation of money, and we are responsible for ensuring that money is used to support those children who have access to that grant. So if you think your child is eligible, please do check it out and let us know. Sometimes families need a leave of absence from school. It is a requirement that children are in school for 195 days a year. Sometimes there are things that happen in life that cannot be avoided, such as weddings, funerals, religious observance, and we would want your children to be involved in those things, particularly if it's a family wedding or, as I say, it's a funeral or a religious observance. These are important parts of growing up and we want children to be able to attend those. In those instances, you can ask for a leave of absence form, which you'll complete with the information about why the leave is needed and on what dates. This is then given to me and I will then authorise or unauthorise the leave, depending on the circumstances. Parents often want to take their children on holiday during school time, and I would strongly encourage you not to do this. The learning that happens in the first 3 years of school is vital. We teach your child to read and to write, two massively important skills that they'll need throughout their learning, and it's important they're in school as much as they possibly can be. So as a general rule, holidays will not be authorised and they will be recorded as unauthorised absences on your child's attendance record. Unauthorised absences beyond 5 days will incur a penalty notice to each parent. So please be aware of that. If you do make the decision that you want to take a holiday, please fill in a leave of absence form. Please ensure that we know where your child is, as we have a duty to know that. But as I say, as a general rule, holidays will not be authorised, but other exceptional circumstances, such as the ones I've mentioned, are usually authorised. Moving to another sticky area of being in a school, and parking. There isn't a primary school in Basingstoke that has enough space for all of its parents to park outside it. Parking is and always has been an issue around schools, and we do ask for your help and support in ensuring that we keep the school, the police, the local neighbours happy because we're not parking irresponsibly. It's very clear outside the school that there is parking spaces in the car park. There is nowhere to park in the Mead. It is all yellow lines which cannot be parked on in the morning or in the afternoon, so please do not be tempted to park in this area. If you do drive up to the school, you must be parked within the school car park. But there are only a very few spaces where you can park in the school car park. So I would encourage you to find another place to leave your car if you have to drive. Perhaps park it a 10-minute walk away and walk into the rest of the way into school with your child. It's a lovely, healthy way to start the day and it's a great opportunity for conversation. You can park your car down in the British Legion on Crown Lane and walk your child up. It's about a 5-minute walk for small legs. However, we would prefer it if you didn't have to drive to school at all. So if you live close enough and are able to, please do walk to school, scoot to school, cycle to school, and if you can, leave the car at home. Hopefully, with the restrictions around COVID-19, car sharing will be something that will be allowed again in September. So please consider that as well if you can. It's important when your child starts school that we set really good habits for attendance and punctuality. So we do expect children to be at school on time. The normal school start time is 8:50 in the morning, and we have a 15-minute window for children to get into school, with support in the car park for the drive-through drop-off system and the doors open at 25 to 9. If your child is late, it is a really difficult start to their day for some children. It can unsettle them, it can make them feel distressed and unhappy, and that can have an impact on their learning, and also it can have an impact on your start to the day. However, if they are late, you will need to bring them in via the office so that they can be signed in, book their school lunch, and then be taken down to class. But I would encourage you please to make sure that your child is here on time by 8:50 every morning. Currently in school, we're having to provide staggered starts in order to limit the interactions between different groups of children. Again, we hope that come September we won't need to offer a staggered start and staggered end to the school day, and we hope that we'll have our normal school hours running. However, if there are any changes, then because of government guidance, then we will make sure that you have all the information you need well before you start school so that you know exactly when your child will start and where they need to be on their very first day. If your child is unwell, it's important that you let us know. As a head teacher, I have a duty to know where the children in my school are if they're not in school on a school day. So please call the school office and leave a message on the answer phone or speak to one of the ladies in the office. If you do leave a message, please ensure you're very clear about why your child is not at school and what their symptoms are if they are ill. We need to be sure that there are no children at home who may have COVID-19 symptoms. If they do, there may be things we have to do in school to protect other children and staff, so please make sure you're very clear about why your child is not attending school. For each day that your child is unwell, please call the school office to update us. If it's something like chickenpox, we know they're going to be off probably for 3 or 4 days, possibly 5, so there's no requirement to call every day. But if they've got a tummy bug or they've got a headache or something that isn't as easy to determine how long they're going to be off for, please do make sure you call us every day to let us know whether or not they're going to be in school. We'd really appreciate knowing that. Thank you. I'm now going to hand you over to Mrs. Sciberras, who's going to take you through some slides that talk about exactly what you can expect for transition and also things that you could do during the next few months to help ensure that your child is completely ready for school when September comes.
Hi there, my name's Mrs. Sciberras and I'm the early years leader, the leader of Year R here at Old Basing Infant School. Just to let you know a few things about our transition programme and how we hope to welcome your child to the school, just so that they feel really at ease before they start with us, and also that hopefully all of your questions are answered before your children even start school. Now, transition is a little bit different this year to how we normally would do it, but we did exactly the same thing under COVID situations last year, and after talking with our parents, they felt it went really successfully. So that's really good to hear, and hopefully you are in good hands. It's really important that you see Year R as just a continuation of the education that they've already been having if they've been in a preschool setting or a nursery. We work within the early years foundation stage. It's like the final year of that curriculum before your children will move on to the Key Stage 1 curriculum in Year 1. So they're carrying on doing the same kinds of learning that they would have experienced in nursery. It's not a huge jump. Yes, they are starting at big school, but it's just carrying on what they're doing. We will give you some further information about the exact areas of the curriculum and things that you can do to support your children in September, whether that will be online like this or whether we'll be able to meet in person, we're not sure yet, but we will give you sufficient detail so that you feel happy knowing about the curriculum that your children are learning about. We like to have an open door policy here, so if there's anything that you need to ask or you're concerned about or you're worried about, please feel free to ask that as you drop your children off or pick them up. At the moment with COVID restrictions, that is a little bit more limiting, and so we're happy if you would like to email or to phone call or anything at all to arrange different meetings so that we can discuss any needs that you might have. We like to have a really close partnership with our parents. It's so important that we know the children and their families to make them feel as safe as they possibly can when they're in school so that they will thrive when they're here. We'd like to start that straight away. We send out in one of your packs some ideas, a sheet that you can fill in to let us know a little bit more about your children. So before we've even spoken to them, we've got a really good idea. We also get a really good idea of things that they like, they dislike, things that really drive them and give them a bit of a zest for learning by talking to the preschools or any settings that they've been at previously, childminders or anything like that, or even just by talking to you. So we want to make sure from the very start that we know the children as well as we possibly can before they've even started here. The preschool discussions, or whichever setting they're in, form a great big part of that as well, because the way that the children interact with other children when they're not in a home setting is also really important, and we can use that to make them feel really comfortable when they come into school. We will hopefully be able to have a lot of our Ready to Start sessions. We've planned that we're hopefully going to have 2 sessions where the children will be able to come into school before September. Obviously that's COVID permitting, and if we can do that, that would be fantastic. If not, which we couldn't do last year, our transition programme was still super successful, with the children being able to come in the first week of September to do some short sessions one-on-one where we get to meet you. We are still going to be doing that anyway in the mornings, and then getting to play with a small group of children in the afternoon that are going to be in their class, which then builds up to meeting the whole class throughout those first couple of weeks. The first 2 weeks in September are really about making sure that your child is getting used to the routine of school, of coming in, getting used to the adults that are around, to the building, all of the places that they can go. And we do that by introducing it really slowly. We do that purposefully to make sure that the children are really, really happy and safe before we're making them to take that next step. And we feel that we've done it really successfully this year, and we will definitely do it successfully in years. Now, the parents often ask us, what sort of things should I be doing with my child before I start school? And I hope you can see from some of these pictures here that it's all the kinds of things that you are naturally doing every day. Talking to your child is number one. Having conversations about things they like, they don't like, pointing out things in the world around them, really encouraging them to use full sentences when they're explaining, to point out new vocabulary. Another thing that is extremely important is having literacy around and having lots of reading materials as well. If you haven't yet done so, it's a really good idea to join your local library where you can share some books. Reading books together, enjoying text together is a way to get children really into that part of their learning, so that they want to use books to find out about things, they want to read books to discover about stories. Also things like counting and finding numbers in the environment. Try modelling to the children that each time you point and touch one thing, that is another thing. So not just learning counting by rote, although that is very useful, but also conveying the idea that those numbers have meaning is really useful. Playing games with your child is also really invaluable, making sure that they understand that there will be winners and there will be losers, and that they won't necessarily win every time. That can be a really difficult thing for children to cope with when they come into a larger class of around 30 children. If they're playing games or they're taking part in an activity, there might be a time when they need to take a bit more of a back seat, or there might be a time when they don't come first, and some children can really struggle with that. So giving them those experiences at home can be really valuable. Again, as we've said, talking to your children is really important. Encouraging them to ask questions, even if you don't know the answer. It's really good as well that they know that we don't know all of the answers, but we can find out, and there's always a way to find out. There is no expectation for your child to be able to read, write or calculate before they start school. Some of them may be able to recognise their name and write their name, and that's fantastic, but there is absolutely no expectation of that whatsoever. We want them to be comfortable to ask questions, confident to be able to talk to other adults and other children, to be able to play, to understand when no means no, and that there are times when people will have to say no because it is safer for the people around them. Those social skills are the things that are really important before they start school. In terms of dressing, the children from the very start of the year are asked to bring in a PE kit. That is because we start from the very beginning of the year changing into our PE kit and changing back again, and so the children get the opportunities to be having a go at dressing and undressing independently. We would ask you to try to encourage them to do this at home as much as possible. So it might mean that you will need to set aside a little bit of extra time in the morning for them to get those tricky socks on. Oh, a good tip as well is if you find that your children are struggling with socks, then just buy them a slightly bigger size and then they can slip them on a lot more easily. We find that socks are trickiest. They should be able to take off and put on their own jumper, as well as doing up the zips on their coat. Now, normally at the start of September, it's quite nice and sunny, but it does very quickly turn cold. So having those coats and being able to do up the zips is a really tricky skill that we appreciate here. If they have a hat and a scarf and gloves, for them to be able to put those on by themselves as well would be ideal. Now, in terms of having their own things and putting things away, the children are asked to come into school each morning. They should have a water bottle with them, and they know exactly where we put our water bottles. So the children will be expected to come into school, put their bottle away, put their bag and their coat on their peg, and then come on and do an activity in the morning. And that does take a little bit of training at home, training at first, but if you're encouraging your children to do those sorts of things at home as well, then it comes very naturally to them when they come in here. Try to encourage them to take responsibility for their own things. If they have a coat or a bag and it's possible for them to be able to carry it to school, that's a really good way of doing that, letting them take ownership. This is your school bag and now we're going to school, so if you can carry that, that would be very helpful. It's really important that they know that everything has got a place in school. One of the very first things we do is show them where their peg is and where their tray is, that they can put their bags and their coats, so that they know exactly where everything should be and that they can't just pop their things anywhere and expect to find them, because there are going to be a lot of bags and a lot of jumpers and cardigans that look just like yours. And if you're not that good at recognising your own name, then the best thing for you to do is to put that thing in a place where you know exactly where it is. So encouraging your children to put their things in a place when you come back in from being outside. Maybe it's just when they take their shoes off, if they know to go and put them on the shoe rack, or knowing that they take their coat off and they put it on the side or they hang it up. Those kinds of expectations really help us when they start school. As part of the early years curriculum, there is an expectation for the children to use their fine motor skills, their fingers, their fine motor skills, to be able to have a go at cutting up their food using a knife and fork. And we encourage that at lunchtime, each lunchtime. So this is far, far easier if that has been modelled really well at home, using the idea of having one hand to hold the food and the other hand to actually do the motion of cutting. So another thing that you can do to get your children school ready is to make sure that they are using their knife and fork correctly to cut and eat their food. If they're not having a school dinner and they want to have a lunchbox, please try to encourage your children to open their own packets of things. Otherwise, they may have to wait for a little bit of time while we're getting around children for them to open things. If they can use that pincher movement as well to squeeze and pull things open, that's strengthening their fingers and is something that's a really great skill when it comes to doing writing. Trying to encourage your children to eat a wide variety of foods also helps us at school. We know that a lot of them aren't always that keen on vegetables, but we do encourage them to have a go and try and eat some of them. We are a healthy school, so we like to let the children know that it's really important for them to put the right kinds of foods in their bodies to grow and be healthy. We have the right to have healthy food and water, and so we put that across to the children. So just giving them the opportunities to have a wider range of foods, so that different foods that come up on the menu aren't too much of a shock, would be really appreciated. Now, toileting, when the children come into school, we do expect them to be toilet trained. If you do have any issues or problems with this, please don't hesitate to talk to your class teacher and we'll see what we can do to support you. So they should be clean and dry during the day. We encourage the children to be wearing pants rather than anything like pull-ups or anything like that, so that they are really, fully toilet trained. They should be able to wipe themselves after going to the toilet as well. and try to get them into the habit of flushing, because when you've got lots of children using the same toilet and none of them flush, it's not terribly pleasant. So getting into the habit of going to the toilet, being able to wipe themselves, flushing, and then really importantly at this moment of time, washing their hands thoroughly for 20 seconds. We always say to sing happy birthday twice. That's about the right kind of time for washing your hands with the soap, and then making sure that they are dry properly, which means that they're clean and they're ready to carry on with their learning.
Thank you, Mrs. Sciberras. Hopefully you had lots of ideas there that will help you to prepare your child for school. I'd like to talk to you now about FOOBS, Friends of Old Basing Schools. This is our parent-run group. They work with the schools and with all of the parents and the families of the schools to raise money to support the education of children both in our school and at St Mary's Junior School. They're an incredible group of people who work incredibly hard, providing exciting and varied events to raise money for the school. They provide events for parents, for children and for families, and as you can see from these pictures, they provided some incredible things for the school over the years. Having our playground markings, having our iPads, setting up our bee colonies with bee suits for the children, and having our balance trail, which is on the playground, supporting the provision of that. All of these things are things which are beyond our normal school budget, and the money that FOOBS raise makes a real difference to the schools and really helps to ensure that we can give your children the best education. As I said, there are a number of events that FOOBS organise, and you can see some of them here. They've been very creative in the last year and been able to provide lots of digital and online events, and they've still managed to raise serious amounts of money to support both schools. We are really very grateful to everyone who becomes part of FOOBS and who joins in and provides their support and their help. If FOOBS is something you'd like to get involved in, please do look in your pack for any information on them. Equally, you can contact the school office and they will give you an email address for somebody at FOOBS that you can contact to register your interest in getting involved. When you start school in September, there will be information coming out to you about FOOBS and when their meeting is. So I hope that we'll see some of you there and that you will support FOOBS in all of their endeavours to support both schools. I'm going to hand back to Mrs. Sciberras now, who's going to share with you a beautiful poem.
This poem is adapted from the original called All I Really Need to Know I Learned in Kindergarten, and I'd like to share it with you because it shows exactly how important we feel children's education is when they start with us in the early years foundation stage. Most of what I really need to know about how to live and what to do and how to be, I learned in the foundation stage. Wisdom was not at the top of the university mountain, but there in the sand pile at school. These are the things I learned. Share everything. Play fair. Don't hit people. Put things back where you found them. Clean up your own mess. Don't take things that aren't yours. Say you're sorry when you hurt somebody. Wash your hands before you eat. Flush. Live a balanced life. Learn some and think some and draw and paint and sing and dance and play and work every day some. When you go out into the world, watch out for traffic. Hold hands and stick together. Be aware of wonder. Everything you need to know is in there somewhere. The golden rule and love and basic sanitation, ecology and politics and equality and sane living. Take any one of those items and extrapolate it into sophisticated adult terms. Think what a better world it would be if all governments had as a basic policy to always put things back where they found them and to clean up their own mess. And it is still true, no matter how old you are, when you go out into the world, it is best to hold hands and stick together.
Thank you, Mrs. Sciberras. For me, that poem encapsulates what starting school is all about, what Year R is all about, and what early education is all about. It's about collaboration, working together, making friends, learning how to get along with others, negotiating, taking turns, and supporting each other. And I believe that over the next few years, we can work together to make sure that your child has the best possible opportunity to be successful whilst with us here at Old Basing Infant School. We want to work together with you. Our door is always open for you, and we hope that you will come in and see us. We still remain optimistic that we will see you before the end of this term, and we will be able to invite you into school for some class visits. When this becomes possible, we will of course let you know as soon as we can so that you can make any arrangements you need to. And I really hope that we will be able to see you in school before the end of this term. Don't forget, we're hosting a live Q&A session on Tuesday the 11th of May at 7 p.m, the details of which are on this slide. Please come along if you've got any questions. We'll be more than happy to answer them for you. If you're not able to come along, we will be posting all of the questions and the answers in a document on the website straight after the meeting. So hopefully if you're not able to attend, you can take a look at that document and find any answers. But again, please do not hesitate to get in touch if you have any questions that you need answering between now and any time between now and September. We'll be updating our website regularly with information for you and your child starting school. Thank you for taking the time to listen to the end of this presentation. I hope you found it useful, and I look forward firstly to seeing you online for our Q&A session on the 11th of May, and secondly, hopefully, to seeing you in person before the end of this term. Take care, and we'll see you very soon. Bye-bye.